So have you ever been in a season where you just feel like life is just collapsing around you, or you just feel like you're sinking? I think a lot of us have been in that boat. And I was listening to this or watching this little video excerpt from a pastor preaching on the passage in Matthew chapter 14 where Peter walks on the water and he starts to sink. We've all heard the story, right? Like they're out on the boat, the water's raging and there's a storm. They see Jesus. They think he's a ghost. And then he calls Peter on the water. Peter steps out of the boat, gets onto the water, and then he starts to walk toward Jesus, takes his eyes off of Jesus, and then he starts to sink. Like, we know the story, but what got me when I was listening to this is God kind of revealed something new to me that I'd never really thought about before. But I wondered, like, how long was Peter sinking? In my mind, I think as a kid, I always pictured Peter on the water, and then he starts to kind of freak out, and then he slowly starts to sink, like he's in quicksand, like he's going down all slow. And I'm pretty sure that's not what happened. I'm pretty sure he probably freaked out, fell down in the water, and then started splashing and going, oh my gosh, I'm sinking, crying out to Jesus. But what I imagine was probably what felt like what was probably only about a few seconds, maybe 30 seconds or a minute, probably felt to Peter like a couple hours, right? Have you ever been in that position where, like, you're in an intense situation and it was probably only about a minute and a half, but it sure felt like an hour and a half, right? So I imagine that what was only a few seconds, maybe 10, 15, 20, 30, maybe a minute at the most, probably felt like a couple hours to Peter. And I just wonder, like, a lot of times in our life, like, whether we're in a season that's 5 days, 5 months, or 5 years, we can really feel like we're sinking for a long time. But what's interesting is that what it says in verse 30, he cries out, Lord, save me. And then it says something interesting in verse 31. It says, immediately Jesus stretched out his hand. Immediately. So what that tells me is that Peter wasn't sinking as long as he thought he was, number one, right? And I think that when we're in these places of, like, oh my gosh, like, it's been forever, and where is God? And oh my gosh, life is so crazy, and, Lord, where are you? And, what seems like 5 years, and maybe it is a 5-year struggle, who knows? That time's a lot shorter to God, right? What seems like a really long time of struggle for us is nothing to God, okay? And I'm not trying to downplay your struggle, because I've been there. I'm in one now. I haven't conquered everything myself. I'm in one right now that seems like it's been a while, but, like, what seems like a really long time is nothing to God. And what really got me is that it said immediately he reached out his hand. And so what that tells me too is not only was it shorter than Peter thought, but God was within arm's reach, right? I think sometimes we think like maybe Jesus was, a couple 100 yards out or whatever. And then he makes this mad dash across the water, skipping across the water to reach Peter. And it didn't say that. It says immediately Jesus stretched out his hand and took hold of him. So immediately he stretched out his hand. So he was within arm's reach of Peter. And so, guys, understand that when you're struggling and you're in a season, whether it's 5 months or 5 years, God is within arm's reach of you. He's not far. And we're like, oh, Lord, where are you at? He's within arm's reach, right? And so that really gave me some comfort today, knowing that I'm coming out of a struggle myself and going, God has been there within arm's reach the whole time. And here's the other thing. He's on his way. Jesus is on his way already in the midst of your problem. Like, hey, it's immediate for God. It might seem like 5 years to you, but it's immediate for God. He's already on his way. So just know that in the midst of your storm, in the midst of your sinking situation, Jesus is already on his way to you now. So just know that. And then the last thing that really, God just showed me, which was really awesome. And it says that immediately Jesus stretched out his hand and took hold of him. He took hold of him. And I just think of God's hand just reaching out and just taking hold of my situation, taking a hold of my life. Jesus is within arm's reach. He's on his way, and he is going to grab you with his righteous right hand. He's going to pull you out of this season. It's not going to be forever. It seems like it's been going on for a long time. Jesus is on his way. He's going to uphold you. He's going to grab you and uphold you. The Bible promises that in Isaiah 41, I think 10, 11, and 12, that he is going to uphold you with his righteous right hand. He is going to get you out of your situation. He's going to pull you out. He's going to make you a better man. You're going to be a better leader because of it. And he's going to pull you out. So, man, I hope that encourages you guys. So be strong. Hold tight to the season. And the other thing is keep your eyes on Jesus. Keep your eyes there. There's two types of people that go through problems. One is the ones that go through problems and don't look at Jesus, and the other ones that go through problems and keep their eyes focused on Jesus. Be the one that's focusing your eyes on Jesus in the midst of the storm. He's going to pull you out.